Welcome to the first roundtable of 2024. It's January 17th, and I'm privileged to have 9 other amazing CEOs to discuss the topic of AI agents in business development, what that means for business growth, what that means for net profit, performance, anything that you guys can think of will be covered in 4 specific topics over this 1-hour period. So what I'd like to do, open up the floor. Let's run it in this sequence. We'll do Martin first. We'll do Peter, followed by Jerry, Sam, Martin, Marianne, and Steve. Give a quick introduction. We've got 5 minutes for this, so 30 seconds. Who are you? What do you do? And why are you here today?
All right. I'm Martin, starting up. I'm the CSO of Mega AI, and I have the responsibility of taking our strategic growth to 2024 and the journey we are on. Before that, working 25 years in sales, 10 years in call centers, running a big call center chains in Europe, and being a part of 2 legal tech companies here the last couple of years, Credito and Whistleblower Partners. So short introduction. I think I kept it under 30 seconds. Pass it on to Peter.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Peter from Mega, and obviously here together with Martin. And we are at the forefront of integrating AI into sales and business development. We all have a background within sales and within this industry. And we too had high employee turnover, long ramp-up time, burnout, and inconsistency in our sales performance. So we decided to build a solution where Mega is providing automated meeting bookings, and we're using conversational AI, synthetic speech, automated workflows to deliver these higher efficiency. And I'm really excited to be here today.
Jerry?
Yeah, hi, I'm Jerry Hill, MD of Connect and Sell Rest of the World. We slice and dice time for sellers so that they don't need to manage and execute those post-dial tasks that happen when you've got a list of 100 people that you want to speak to. We shorten time from 90 minutes to 4.5 minutes. Or another way to look at it, we can power up reps to have 7 to 12 conversations an hour. AI is an interesting concept for us, but it's more around its sort of plausible skeptical investigation phase at the moment rather than going all in. Primarily because we know there are human-assisted systems that still can't be taken over by artificial intelligence. And having some flesh and some meat in a process is still probably quite high value. So my interest today is just simply to sort of see where everyone else is on the maturity curve and give a few perspectives.
Powerful. Marcin.
Hello, everyone. And welcome to this webinar. I'm Marcin Kirdalevich. I'm the CEO of Miami.io. We do quite a lot of AI. We do business process automation. And as you can imagine, all the new process automation includes AI. So I feel like almost every conversation has an AI these days. And yes, happy to share our experience and what we do. So thanks for the invite. And yeah, let's do it.
Perfect. Marianne, shoot.
Hi. Yeah, Marianne Vanilla, and I'm CEO of the Vanilla Group. It's a firm I've had for over 2 decades. And we identify and do early discovery on active sales cycles for large enterprise tech companies. So we've actually been using AI to get more insight into prospects, to understand patterns in some of the things that we're doing. So we're really interested in what discovery we can use AI for, because we've, after 2 decades, we have this massive data set. And so we're going to be using it to look for trends and different things in the coming months.
Awesome. Let's shoot, Tim.
Yeah, so I'm probably the solopreneur in the group, but I basically do outsource sales for enterprise companies, specifically in tech and cloud computing. So I'm using AI to 4x my productivity. And so love to get some thoughts around what you all are doing that's working and how I can apply it to myself and maybe give you some tips.
Stephen.
To me? All right.
Yes, sir.
First and foremost, I'm a bit confused why such a team of smart people all know Shane, but you can Jerry, we were meant to meet in London later. We never got a chance to reschedule. Phil, I like the t-shirt. The rest of you will catch up again, no doubt, after the call. But yeah, I run an outsourced sales company like Tim. We're global. We are an alternative to using an in-house SDR team. We do it across all languages, and we've been doing it for 10 years. So I'm here because I'm interested to hear what this team of smart people think about autonomous agents and AI. I don't believe it's there yet, so I'm sorry to come in here and ruin the show, but I don't think it works. I agree with Jerry. I agree with Jerry on most things, so I'll probably just say whatever Jerry thinks on a lot of the questions. But let's see where it goes.
We sure will. So the first conversation that I want to open up the floor to everybody. Again, this is nothing about me. I'm just a little minion in the room, but enhancing customer interactions with AI is a topic, is a conversation, is a subject that has been thrown at me probably 50 to 100 times. I know it's a big gap, 50 to 100 times in the past 3 months. I believe I can enhance customer interactions with AI through a number of different channels, but if Martin, if you want to, sorry, Sam, I didn't get you, Sam. Sorry, mate, you're right in the middle too. You first,
No
and then
worries.
I'll
You
go
were
to the
in the
next
flow,
topic.
so I was like, okay, I'll do it later.
And I'm looking right at you. Sorry, you go ahead, Sam.
No worries, no worries. Hi, I'm Sam Gupta. I'm the founder of Sales Robot. So what we do is we automate cold outreach on email and LinkedIn for any SDR who's looking at getting more meetings through those channels. I'm here because I believe AI can definitely help, not with cold calling, but I believe with email and LinkedIn outreach, particularly text-based outreach, where it can analyze trigger events, write high converting email copy if done right. So I'm here to share some of the things that we've done by working with over 3,000 SDRs, and just share and learn a little bit more about what others think about this space.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So I'll fast track the next piece again, right into customer interactions. How are the businesses today, whether it's you, customers you serve, how are you going to enhance your customer interactions with AI? And do you even think it's possible? And I'll let Peter lead that discussion as the first person in this part.
Thank you so much. So for me, it's I'm working on a solution where we automate it. So obviously, I believe actually that we will see a big shift, and we are at the dawn of an era where AI can communicate with customers directly, and we can even see actively engaging customers through calls, or AI agents maybe will actually engage customer through calls, and regarding whether AI is ready or not, I think what we have seen is from ChatGPT 3.5 to 4, it was like 10 times better. I think we can all agree it will probably go like 1,000 times better over the next 5 years. So we are really just in the beginning. And even if it's just 100 times better at current level, we will see an incredible adaptive and intuitive AI where it will be capable of deciding whether to use male voice, female voice, based on metadata, analyzing the customer tone, changing the sales strategy within the conversation itself to achieve the objective. And I think we're just currently just scratching the surface of the potential of this technology. And for me, at what we're doing, it's not just a tool, it's just the future of outbound that is just shifting. So obviously, I believe really in the shift, and we will see massive changes over the next 5 years.
Awesome. So I think here's going to be the fun part for me, right? So I'm looking to throw a little seed or throw a little Alka-Seltzer in a piece of water and let it bubble. So I believe truly Jerry and Steve will have opposing opinions on this piece. Number one, because Jerry is very human focused. Connect and Sell as a company that establishes trust through a human voice, through a human connection through the first 7 seconds. Jerry is still ingrained in my head for the past 4 years. So if you want to crack on with your piece, and then Steve, your opposing opinion too, or if you line up with Jerry, let us know how you feel this won't work, and then how it will.
No, it's not that I'm skeptical, but I'm skeptical for the right reasons. That there's a huge amount of evidence still to be collected. Let me put it into context. Every morning I say thank you and please to Google, my Google Dot at home. Every morning I still say thank you and please. I'm polite to my AI assistant in the house every single day, and there's a reason for it. Right? It's a sort of Terminator sentient fear state trying to exist. And whilst we're joking, that is a potential real concern. You know, I love Elon Musk. Some people hate Elon Musk, but generally, when it comes to technologies and technology evolution and predicting the future, he's probably the only person we've got in our society who's competent and capable enough to forecast what could be bad, what could be good. I think the second thing is, generally speaking, eyeballs matter still to a certain degree. I want to use AI to help me solve my labor inefficiencies, my arbitrages, and my gaps in time to do things. But I don't necessarily want it to become my front stage seller. I'm happy for it to be my backstage seller. I still want to be front of stage. I still want to have the emotional intelligence required to send a text message at the right time when I'm not front stage. But when it comes to writing up a value calculator, because I'm absolutely asinine at Excel, that's complex and pulls in pricing information and context, which would normally take me 4 to 5 weeks of very frustrating, laborious, late night, non-mission critical time for me to do, I can get that done in 35 minutes, published and battle tested enough that I know I can put it in front of the customer. Let AI do that stuff for me. But there is stuff that I'm also excited about. I spoke to an Israeli startup the other day that's in stealth mode, and they believe that they've got an AI which can synthesize accents in various scenarios, which I find perfectly exciting. We all know that Indian contact center has a bad reputation. One of the big sentiments that I get asked all the time, even though my labor never speaks to humans, just manages processes, where are they based? And there's a reason for that. Right now, imagine I live in a world where there's a synthetic accent for the market that Connect and Sell's operating in for a customer that day. Solves a reputational problem potentially, or a quality problem. And then we're in the world of 0.5% incremental gains, which compound over masses of activities on a daily basis. And that could be hugely beneficial to my company. But I still think we're very much at the exploratory stage as it relates to how machine and human interact with each other beyond taking ownership of those boring labor inefficiencies that I need to get solved for me today and don't want to push to other people because it's not their job, right? That's where I sit with it right now.
Love it. Steve.
Right.
Shoot, dude.
So a lot of people are talking about, will it be able to be done? I'm more interested in, is it going to be legal? Because I'm all about efficiency. I'm all about optimization, making more money, right? We can talk about, will this be able to work? Will this be able to do the job? Yeah. Does anyone want to shed some light on, across the different geos, like, is it legal to actually have a robo dialer call it out, or even taking inbound calls without notifying the person they're being recorded, and without notifying the person that it's an artificial agent? So what's everyone's views on that at the moment? Because and this is also to Sarav, what you're currently doing using AI automation, is it even compliant to do what you're doing on LinkedIn? I think it's not. And is it compliant on email? So can it be done is a question, but is it legal is what I need before we on that road.
Yeah, I know Jerry's going to have very opinions on the calling piece, but from a bank perspective in the US, you call and ask for your bank statement, or there's certain things that you need to do. You can do all of that legally today on the phone with these pre-staged Q&A files. So the value of AI is going to have that natural language processing. So you're able to ask the question that makes sense to you. You don't need to try to guess the exact phrase that these call center systems have. So that, I think, is still going to be legal. Obviously, governments move slower, so I don't know if there's any actual legal legislation that's passed anywhere in the world that's tackled this. But for me, those are really good, right? I'm a frustrated customer. I just want something from my bank. I call. I don't ask the right phrase. I get frustrated. I hang up. I physically go into the bank to get my answer.
But I ask you if we can do it. Is it legal? Does anyone got definitive facts? Because
they're doing it legally today.
That can work.
One at a time. One at a time, guys. Always let's do it properly. One at a time. So, Steve, let me jump in on that piece again. On the compliance and the legalities of using AI, there are always going to be pushbacks on where it can't work and where it can. In terms of this conversation, we want to cut through those obstacles and get to the point where a discussion can be had on the benefits of that service. So, as much as the legalities do make sense, I can hire a lawyer for £1 million and get it done. Somebody can do that and get it done. So it's not really a thing that you want to be in this environment, in this discussion. Valid point. I think maybe we get a few barristers on a call and see how they can push through. But Martin, I know that he has a point on this. So if we can answer that in a light-hearted way, Martin, you may be able to cover a few pieces on the elements of it not being robocalling and not being cold calling. It's live customer interactions through permission-based leads.
It would be,
yes,
yeah, there's of course. One thing is, of course, permission-based leads. And I think the whole legal discussion is more over with you, Peter. Maybe have some comment on it. But what we are doing currently or thinking about is calling it up to permission-based leads, gathering up on websites or other channels. But I actually just want to go a little bit deep back to you, Jerry. What you said about, why did we start building it? And you talk about accents for different markets, and it's getting more and more personalized. And some of the problem, the reason that we went into this in the beginning was precisely some of the things you're also addressing, high churn of staff, inconsistency, really, really difficult to ramp up. So that was, of course, some of the challenges that we were facing, that I have been facing for my career over the last many years. We were ramping up my last company over 8 months with 38 BDRs on 6 markets, doing 400 meetings a month, and all. But it comes with all those troubles. So I think we just had a meeting this morning, actually, with the tech team. What we are trying, and also because we are coming from that industry, the deepest respect for the human touch in it, accent and skill sets, etc. So that's for us, for me, this is the core of it, is to work with the AI, coming as close as possible as what we have of our best agents today, with taking into consideration, accent and knowledge regarding the areas where it's called, different type of markets and products, etc. So I think this is the way we are moving and seeing today. When we are listening to robots picking up customer service, you can hear still there's no personality. It doesn't fit to me as a person. But I see that as the next coming over the next couple of months, that the AI is being filled with all this. And also for us, it's important to fill in, with the content, not only listening and learning by existing calls, but also all what we are doing in our BDR departments today, when we are training our staff, our seller, going down to tonality phases, and all these aspects of having a great BDR is what we are trying to accomplish. And I think that would be coming further and further to success when you are hitting that spot where clients feel that it's a good experience to talk to an AI, and not the opposites that we sometimes experience now. That is not a good experience, because we can hear that the machine, it doesn't adapt to us. Just wanted to have a little comment on that for what you said. So I completely understand where you are going also with it.
Cool. So, and I think another opinion that I'm really looking forward to hearing is Marianne and Marcin, and then Sam. Let's get your guys three on how you see remember, it's how do we enhance customer interactions? That's the only topic right now. So what do you believe AI will do to enhance our customer interactions? Marianne, you shoot. I love always hearing your voice.
Yeah, well, it has to, in the work that we do, we're heavily conversation based. So like Jerry, we don't see that piece getting replaced. And also the types of companies that we call, if those stakeholders found out that they're talking to AI, they would just that would be over. So keeping that human element and that part of it is really important. I think where there's a huge application for it is, in support areas. Definitely, I see more and more things being resolved on the support side with clients. There's definitely a play there. Also in text and email communication, there's a huge play there. And also, another thing is, so many organizations keep such terrible records in their CRM. So when we often start with a company, we'll get in there and look at their CRM, and it's like, there's so much they don't know. There's just all these little, updates that don't really mean anything. So we really don't know anything about the company. So that's where we come in, as being able to capture a bunch of data and then get it in those accounts, and then synthesize it with historical data so that they can actually progress. Because I think all of us have had those calls where we talk to somebody, like we might talk to an SDR, because I get a ton of calls too. I mean, everybody wants to sell stuff, right? So, we'll talk to an SDR, and then we think we have this good conversation, and then we get on the phone with the rep and they don't know anything about that conversation. And then it's like, now you start from zero again. And that's super irritating. And especially with big ticket stuff, it's like, well, what did I talk to you for then if I got to repeat all this? So I think there's a huge play for being able to capture information, to be able to map out next steps in those accounts. And that's one of the things that we're really working with our clients around is capture data, because then when you start doing some machine learning or other things, it's got some accurate data to work with. And, it's only going to be as good as what you feed it. I do think, though, with text-based, definitely, because it can help pre-call, it can help understand industries and uncover things. Like we created a GPT we use internally to find out certain things of a really specific nature about accounts. And that's been huge. We started baking that into what we deliver to clients, and they love it. And that's something that they hadn't been doing before. So I don't think it's ready for a lot of direct communication, like in the early cold calling conversation phase, just because nobody, and the other thing too to remember is a lot of the people that we're talking to are not tech people. So, we're calling a manufacturing company, calling a VP of manufacturing, in the Midwest. I mean, they're not messing around with, any kind of tech stuff. So, the tolerance for something like that is pretty low. And I think that's another thing that needs to be considered, because I do think everybody that is using AI right now is a little more concentrated with a certain kind of profile of person and industries and things like that. So it's finding the right application for the right sales landscape.
Awesome. Marcin, love to hear your thoughts.
Marcin, yeah.
Thank you. Well, maybe I will just share, the experience that we have. So, we have experienced customer services, and when we talk about customer services, I mean existing clients, not actually prospecting. But we see already that AI can do pretty cool stuff in digital channels. So like you all said, emails, text messages, etc. And I can tell you, we've done systems where for large e-commerce, we've built like a very personalized, email messages for the cross-sell that, are really personalized to like very, very individual level. So, think of it like e-commerce, thousands of customers, and everybody gets genuinely individual email that actually fits, their preferences. On a voice channel, I can share like, what we've done on the practical side, and I can tell you we have failed with building systems that, are able to, have a conversation in the real time, right? But what we actually see is in the enterprise space, really, there is a big shift happening at the moment. Think of it, when you call your bank, you probably wait like 30 minutes for somebody to like pick up. And in the old times, they had these IVR systems where you could say, oh, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, etc. Now functionality of the systems is pretty limited, because you can have whatever, maybe 50 different services that you can offer, and you need to like press 10 buttons to get there. Now this time what you can do is you can actually call, you can say what you want, and then AI can categorize your response to actually route you directly to to the path where you should be. And that way, like banks and larger systems not only can actually pick up your phone immediately, but like put you on the path of of your service immediately as well. And again, it's not going to replace a person, because look, sometimes you call just to like check your balance. All of that you can do automatic way. But if somebody calls with a problem, you of course want to talk to a person, because that person should understand your situation. And I don't see really AI like replacing that part. So yeah, that's our kind of a practical experience. Thanks.
Sam, you're a wizard. I think I'll just give a quick story on myself and Sam. Sam approached me almost 5 years ago when he first built sales robot. And 5 years later, he's got a valuation in his company in excess of about 2 million. So where customer interactions are important, Sam, I definitely know, has a very, very good picture of that. He's helped me along the way. So Sam, from your side, what do you see as the enhancements that AI can bring to our customer interactions?
Yeah, I love the format that Marcin talked about, like talking from personal experience. So I'll do that as well. So what I see is, like I remember I had Chris Beal from Connect and Sell on my podcast, and there's one thing that stuck with me. He told me that there's so much information that goes inside a voice call. Like if you look at it from an information theory standpoint, you've got the audio and then you've got the text. So the number of bits per second that's encoded in a voice based message is much higher than a text, or even a LinkedIn message, which is also a text, right? So if you're looking at having AI generate these media, you just need to focus on the one that is simpler, right? That has lower bits per second or lower amount of information, because that is less things for an AI to get wrong. So let me give you an example of how we've used pretty simple AI automations right now. So what we do is we get a lot of inbound leads coming in from our website, and we work with a lot of small businesses, who want to automate their cold outreach on email and LinkedIn. They do it because they don't have the money to pay staff, right? So we serve as a replacement for that. So what we've done recently is whenever somebody signs up for a trial, the AI goes and visits their website, sees what they do, and then says something like, hey, saw that you signed up for a trial. I see that you work at this company. I believe you guys would be targeting these particular job titles. We've got a lot of them in our database. Make sure you use the trial properly. I'm sure you'll get a ton of leads if you do this 14-day trial properly. That's amped up our conversion rates from like 5% to about 18% right now in just 2 months, right? Just from this like personal touch of messaging. So I believe those are the kinds of low-hanging fruits that you should be going for right now with the AI, as opposed to trying something which just doesn't work right now because of the latency, because of the amount of information you've got to encode. I'm sure the tech will improve. I mean, I'm sure it will improve very quickly. But for a business, it's not a research project, right? You have to make money in 6 to 12 month time frame. So you have to think along those lines and say, hey, can I get somebody to pay for this in the next 6 to 12 months? And the only way that happens is if it is working at some degree of fidelity, right? At least 90% plus fidelity. So I believe that's where you should look for. That's the axis, the complexity of the use case, and then how critical is the use case.
Solid. So look, again, all these things, there's a lot of information here to absorb, and it's going to be extremely valuable after we digest it. So I'm going to jump on to the next topic. I believe those insights were incredible. Jerry, I want you to lead this if you're okay with it. But where we're looking at right now, the second topic is AI in streamlining a sales process. And let me lead with this. I found a company from a podcast the other day. I went to the website, and they had a video. Peter, you know what I'm talking about. Yep. They said, hey, I want to help you with this. And the person said, I just want to speak to a human agent. I don't want to speak to you. And he said, look, that's absolutely fine. Happy to put you on with an AI, a human agent. It's going to take about 8 minutes, or I can help you solve your problem in 2. I know exactly what you're talking about. Me, I hate speaking to EE, Verizon, AT&T, the bill company, the bank. I am off my rocker with these people. So if you tell me I'll get your problem solved in 2 minutes, I'm in all day. Yep. All day. If I can cut that 40 minute time frame down to 2, I'm in all day. So Jerry, from your standpoint, that's a super duper streamline of the sales process. Given the longevity of yours, how do you see AI streamlining sales processes? Let's say in your business, if it were to happen.
I think there are sort of 3 segments. There's sort of consumer grade products that can be bought straight through with zero friction. I think that there are another higher order up business to business products that still require some degree of conversation, but don't necessarily need to be specifically sophisticated. And at the very top end of that pyramid, you've got things which are all about transformation. And if I can solve the inefficiency gaps in my conversion ratios or my time to speak or my time to fulfill information requests or whatever it might be, I'm all in. But actually that sort of abstract conversation, which requires a lot of nuance, a lot of teaching, a lot of control, a lot of emotional elements. I'm speaking to the CEO about a total transformation of how they go to market over the next sort of 6 to 12 months. I'm not sure I put that in the hands of somebody that isn't either a peer, competent, credible, or verified. But I'm more than happy to use something like a Warmly, which would allow me to find a real live seller or get my questions answered for me if I was just investigating something that's reasonably transactional up to about $200 a month per user. I'm cool with that. And I think it requires that level of judgment, because if we start trying to apply efficiency for efficiency's sake, because there's a cognitive machine that can apply efficiency, we're probably missing a huge amount of the sort of policy, politics, and those interactive human dimensions that come with more complex selling or customer service. You know, there's always that stuff, and I just I'm sure I can cross the trust chasm yet to let somebody take ownership of that for me. Where I do trust it though is I need a report on why four out of 50 users haven't used. What's the failure rate? Why is the failure rate happening? Is it consistent failure? Is it a technical failure, or is it a user failure? Is it conceptual failure, or is it a simple lazy failure? I can use my AI to help me build that insight, and I can deliver the conversation. I think that's the perfect sort of hybrid approach that we can take today. If I'm fulfilling on customer success, I can probably automate an awful lot of my ticket taking processes, and I can use my customer success team to drive highly elevated business value conversations much more strategically, much more frequently. If I don't have 75 to 100 grand of resource dealing with Zendesk, that's not a bad place to put AI if I can. But again, I just think that sometimes leaning into uncomfortable conversations can only be delivered by another human and not an automation. And there's an awful lot of uncomfortable conversations that still happen in sophisticated transformational B2B selling. So yeah, solve the process gaps for me, but not the delivery gap.
Love it, Jerry. That's solid. So in terms of getting the trust element into the conversation, I don't trust sellers. I don't trust buyers. So whether it's an AI agent or a real person, I believe the AI agent is going to provide more value based on quality control. And whether it's a permission-based opener or permission-based lead, or if it's a customer interaction through live interactions where they're part of your database or your company already, I see AI being used in only those segments until it can evolve into those other dimensions of the business. And where you have problematic things or problematic issues that arise, then you let the AI agent ask, deplete the amount of money you're spending on resources. Let the AI, do you want to speak to a human, or do you want to go through this with me?
Yeah, I think
if you want to see, yeah.
No,
I think that's the right way to look at it.
What Marianne said and what Jerry says is also about when you know the word readiness, of course, what type of business, you said, Marianne, before, just calling some type of businesses will not be ready for this. Sometimes some are more ready, like our focus from the beginning in our little shop here has been, the tech industry. The tech industry should be the first one who would approach, that it would be okay to let an AI call their clients to book a meeting in, because they're a tech company. That's what they do. They're techies. So that would be a natural step. Another thing that I think is a big thing here has also been brought up a little bit is transparency, that I am an AI. I think that what you also said, Marianne, if a robot call and you would figure it out, because they would get so skilled over time, and time is not a long time, as I see it. Before you would be fooled, so and said that it was not a human. So to be transparent upfront that you are an AI when you call, I think super important. And I'm fun to talk with, or I'm skilled and I know my stuff. And if you want to talk with one of my human colleagues, please let me know. I pass you over. So I think the transparency of what you are and when you call should always be on, and there's a big focus always to have that. And then some industries would be ready now, and also where it would make as a good experience for their clients. Some of the one we have in for testing in our MVP focus status now are tech companies where it's a cool thing that is calling to their clients, and say, hey, I'm coming from this dialer company or whatever, and then have a good conversation. But telling what I am upfront, I think, is super important, both now and also as we go ahead, especially on that task where it's called BDR, meeting, booking, prospecting, is even more important than when you call a customer service. And, as you said, Shane, if I can remove 9 minutes waiting time and the robot will know my history 10 years, past, and all my issues and problems, that would probably be a good experience, where we should not leave that out, in the human experience of booking meetings and having sales conversations, super important. So I think it's a place and time for when we are ready and who is ready, and to be super transparent about it. Just want to put that in the discussion also.
So before Peter, Martin, I know you've got your hand raised, so maybe Martin and then Peter, I think it'd be valuable. But I want to drop something on the efficiency of time and cutting time. That's my entire thesis for business development. And that came out when I met Jerry 4 years ago. And the reason I went into it, because data, the acquisition of data through Cognizant, was my first entry point. Okay, I've got access to 450 million contacts, not realizing that after I spent £40,000 that Jerry said, half of that data is rubbish. Thanks, Jerry. So after that conversation, I speak to Jerry, and Jerry says, did you know I can 10x, 100x your meeting pipeline process? Okay, show me how you do that. Spent 3 hours with Jerry. In 3 hours, I had 7 meetings. 3 hours, 7 meetings done. I think there was, Jerry could probably pull up the stats, hundreds of conversations in that time. Again, I compressed time. And Jerry and Connect and Sell are a component of dialing that happened through a phone, and our mobile phones, that was 20 years ago. Now Jerry can 100x your phone calling, your phone calling process in a matter of minutes. And this is what I'm trying to emphasize, and the importance of this discussion is where if Connect and Sell can fast track your ability to have conversations 12 to 15 an hour, what the hell is AI going to do in 10 years when it is in the place where it should be? So, Jerry, on the point of, I mentioned to you 2 points, and then Peter and Martin jump in on that, but I see meeting booking as the wrong metric to be focused on, because meeting booking is not the only thing. And me and you spoke about this the other day, right, Marianne? It's all the work that goes into that. There's an entire thing where someone's like, oh, it's £100 a meeting, or it's $1,000 a meeting. No, mate, it's 100 grand just to get you to a place for me to call that person. And Jerry, I want you to shine a light on that, where the KPIs are conversations, research, all mapping your lists, messaging, all that stuff comes into play with streamlining your sales process.
Yeah, I mean, it's not too hard to do a lot of that AI infused streamlining today, but it still requires a bit of human guidance in order to get it right. Here's an example. I can download a call transcript from any conversation anywhere, regardless of where it is in my sales process. And I can ask ChatGPT to score it on a MEDDIC criteria or a sales methodology criteria and tell me where I could have gone and done something a lot better, or what questions I could have asked today. That's useful. And I can scale it, because I can potentially build my 3x3s and my research lists into that and say, come up with a unique hook that would make me sound like I've done some research. So that's all super useful stuff, for sure. I think that when there are still mechanical processes in the world that can't be solved because a machine can't reach out from behind a phone and press a dial number or a pad or a hashtag or a 1 to speak to marketing, then you're not perfectly solving any problem set, right? So until I can get my AI to literally jump out behind a phone and take on a physical process, then it's going to not have the same amount of application. Look, I'm a golf fan. Callaway have just launched a driver called AI Smoke. They used AI to design something for a physical process. That's awesome. But my sense is I'm probably a little bit more fearful, because every industrial revolution that we've ever had sees a little bit of job decline and then massive job increase. And normally I've got the intellectual capacity to model what that looks like or understand what people move towards. In this industrial revolution, I haven't got a clue. I don't know. And that's the thing that I think scares me the most. That's where my skepticism comes from. And, you know, I had that conversation with my father today on the way back from driving my 3-year-old to his nursery school for the day, which was, I haven't got a clue what job my son's going to do in years to come, even if he gets to do a job. And then what am I bringing him up for if he lives in a world where he doesn't have a job to do? Like, I think doing things gives us meaning. And I think artificial intelligence has the potential to comprehensively displace that meaning. Because as economies have changed and as industrial revolutions have enabled humans to do more leisure, less work, society's actually got worse, not better. That's my fear.
I agree with you. Peter, what do you think about that?
So I actually just want to go a little backwards, and I can also see in the chat that we're talking a lot about quality. And I see we in Denmark had a very large insurance company that implemented a AI in the chatbot, and it just didn't work because it didn't answer the questions correctly. So they had to take it down again. And I see that a lot of places where we actually see that AI is actually not working as intended. So we kind of put in a different approach. And I think there is a metric called first time resolution or first time right. And international best practice is 85%, meaning that a real person will answer correctly in a call 85% of the time. And that is best practice. I used to be the CEO for the largest outsourced call center in Denmark. And we started measuring this, and it was I cannot even say it 33%. So it was really bad, and that was our starting point. And obviously we got above 85. But the point here is that what we normally when we give all this data to the AI to learn from, it's just messy data with a lot of errors. And I think this is something that needs to be corrected before we put it into our model. So at Mega, we have a different approach. We quality monitoring all calls before we put it into our models. So ensuring clean data. And this is a very manual, very boring job, but actually necessary to provide a more meaningful and satisfying experience for the end user.
What about you, Martin? What do you think?
So yeah, just to comment on what Jerry said, you know, like don't worry about our kids, because our parents, you know, thought exactly the same when they saw the computer for the first time, and we kind of adapted, and you know, they will adapt and they will, you know, get the jobs. But just to spice up those conversations a little bit about, you know, how AI can help us, and you know, and Shane, I agree with you on a saving time metrics. Well, actually, you know, the conversations we're having at the moment, you know, about the future is that, you know, in the future, the same way as like AI picks up the phone, you know, on a customer side or customer service side, actually everyone from us will have their own AI assistant. What it means is when you're going to be calling your bank, it's not you going to be calling your bank. You're going to tell your assistant, call my bank and do this. And it doesn't matter how long it takes, because it will just call and it will be AI talking to AI. If somebody calls you, you will not pick up that phone. It will be your AI will pick up the phone, do whatever they need to do. And maybe, you know, if you're interested, you know, they will kind of, you know, pass over to you. That's going to be the future.
Holy shit. I did not even think about that. I didn't even think. Martin, thank you so much.
A step further there.
You definitely did, mate. You definitely did.
You would be surprised. We've tested AI to AI conversations. Okay. Yeah. It's pretty interesting. And then it doesn't really matter how long it takes, because you don't even know that conversation is happening. You just know the outcomes, and you know, whenever like you want, it connects it like with you.
Holy shit. I'm gonna have to have I haven't drank in 3 years. I'm gonna have to have a drink after this. Sam, Sam and Marianne, what
Just
are your guys'
make sure it's
opinions
a
on
healthy
this?
cocktail.
Sure,
Yeah, you know, the topic of actual conversations, I think we're a long way in many environments from that. I think for inbound, that's a little different. I think there's much higher tolerance to speak with an AI that's really well trained if you're calling into something. But outbound, that's going to be human for a while. I do think that the experience of most outbound calls is pretty bad. So I do see a whole need to just kind of reinvent how that's happening, just because there are so many options out there to not talk to somebody. I think if you want to if you want to actually talk to your prospect, you need to know how to engage with them better. But the other piece of it is, back to the data, like we don't load anything that we don't personally vet. So I've bought lists, they're most of the time garbage. Like I can't even recall a time that I bought a list and we just went with it. Even clients, like it's sort of funny how they guard their house list, right? And then we get in there and look at it, and it's like these people wouldn't even be your prospect under the best of circumstances. Like, why are they even in here? So, this treasure chest that you have is like 40% garbage. So, we do a ton of work, and AI is only as good as the data. So it's not like you can just throw it into some AI environment and say, hey, clean this up, because they're just working with what's in there. I do think that in the sales process, and this is where data capture comes into play, is why did you lose these deals? I mean, you could take like your last 5 years of pipeline, and you could create some environment where you could see some consistencies and trends that you don't have visibility of now. And you could see, like, at this stage of the process, in these types of companies, with these types of prospects, with this type of rep, with this, and so you'd be able to map it so that you could have so much precision about where you have risk in deals and see where you need to augment that stage. So that's huge. And I don't see a lot of that yet, just because it's a lot of work. And that's the other thing, to implement something like this internally. It's like, you got to go get somebody that's going to take all that data and clean it up and, create an environment that is, you got to build the model. So there's a lot that needs to go into that. But I just see that as so huge in being able to just understand where you're losing stuff and how to stop doing that.
I love it.
Sam, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to sales process, obviously, like there's multiple paths to the sales process, right? So, for example, the lead could be an inbound lead, could be an outbound lead, right? Then once they're coming in, you can approach them on either the phone or email or LinkedIn. So what I see is that you can apply AI right now in a piecemeal approach. You identify this is the part where I could, apply AI and augment it, and that works. Like, let me give you an example. So one of the things we started applying AI to is things like trigger events and automated account research. Like, we had a client that sells so what they do is they sell to car dealerships, and what they do is they use AI to take one photo of a car and make these used cars look really good on their website, right? So a lot of these old car used dealerships, they like using the software because they don't have to take the car to like a car shoot commercial and like film in like 10 different angles and spend like $2,000 doing that. So these guys were looking at car dealerships. So what we did for them was, for example, we just wrote an AI script that's able to scrape Google Maps, figure out, when to go to their website, figure out if they already have images of good-looking cars on their website, and write a highly customized email that looks like a human being did it, right? Because these are the tasks where you can identify, like, hey, does this website have good-looking photos of a car or no, right? So plug that into GPT-4 Vision, figure out, hey, this is good or bad, do some scoring, and write a custom email based on that. So I believe those are the kinds of approaches that work. If you can sort of create a good AI agent that brainstorms these things and then actually executes them, I believe that's a good AI SDR. So what kind of custom fields to use in a cold email, right? What kind of lists to build, right? What are the best data sources to build that list? So that client had no clue that they could just scrape Google Maps and figure out all the used car dealerships in the UK. So, I mean, these are the kinds of use cases where I feel AI is great right now.
Amazing. I agree with you. I agree with you. Tim, I don't know where your camera's gone, mate, but if you want to chime in on that one, if you're still there.
Sure. Yeah, I think, for my, I apologize, I had to do something, but, one comment I had earlier, and if this is out of context, let me know, but when I look at AI, it's about the research and how can you be smarter. I think Jerry mentioned this earlier. Doing the research is making you smarter, and even your customers, as you onboard your customers, you don't have to ask them. Like, as an example, I used to have this 6-page document that I made people fill out. Now I ask ChatGPT or whatever tool you want to use, and then validate that data with your customer. So think about how you can make your customer's life onboarding, whether it's a discovery call that you're about to have, they become a customer, they're in a support process with you, you're trying to upsell them. All of those things, I think AI is really helpful to ease that journey with that customer in the buying cycle.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm going to use it for everything I do. I did a diet plan for it. I do all my emails with it. LinkedIn has penalized me, though. They don't push my stuff out for anything more than like 100 fucking people. If you use AI, that's a real thing. So I put a scenario. Thanks, Steve. That's why I've got a far distance in here. So we're going to do a business scenario for this one, okay? I want to press the minds of this group. Everybody in this group is a CEO. They all have a vision. And I put a scenario in for the third topic, which is overall business growth. So you've got an enterprise company that you've just bought. You've got 100 employees. 20 of them are BDRs. 80 are middle management, CFO, COO, whoever, customer service, whatever the hell you want to be. Don't be specific on that. Your ARR, your annual run rate is $10 million US. Your net profit is 35%. Your valuation for your company has got a 10x multiple. That's what it is, okay? My first initial thing, if I'm buying that company, I'll fire 10 of the BDRs. 10 of them will be AI agents. I'm going to free up a ton of cost. Let's say each agent is 50K. Over the course of the year, that's about what, 600K for the year? My valuation goes up. My net profit goes up. My team is probably working faster. And I believe that's going to be the avenue I take when I acquire my next 100 companies, when I get a bunch of money. And I will do exactly that. So let's start off with Peter. That's your company.
Can you explain that?
No.
Are you going to
wait for you? We'll wait for you. No, I cannot explain it. I'll explain to you when you get to your point. When I come to you, I'll explain it. So Peter.
And I apologize. I got to jump off, mate. I have another call, but yeah, great meeting all of you guys. And yeah, thanks for the time.
See you later. So Peter, for yourself, how would you see overall business growth happening with AI? If you can run through that scenario in a minute or two, what would you do?
For me, I think we've talked a little about the legal perspective, and we did a paper on that. And I think for now you need to have like a consent from the receiver of the call. So obviously I would dig more into that area. Another thing, definitely, I would dip my toes, probably not with 20 ASDRs in the first place, but probably with 1, 2, 3, 5 maybe, see what happens, test the water, and then kind of, go all in. I'm kind of not in doubt that we will see a big shift in the market within the next couple of years, that we will see SDRs or BDRs being AI bots. It's really clear for me, actually.
Marianne, overall business growth, AI, if you can match the scenario, shoot.
So I look at this and I just have a ton of questions about, well, where have you been and what are you doing and who's doing what? So there's like so many blind spots here. I can't really say what I would do because I don't know what I got, right? So I would definitely apply AI. I mean, take all that data and find out what's happening, like where, what's happening with those reps, what's happening, with your client base, where do you stack in the marketplace? I mean, all this stuff. And so you could actually use AI to analyze a lot of that. And then once you have some actual data to work with, then you know what to do. So, I wouldn't go in there necessarily and start chopping heads, but I would want to know, what is it that I'm working with and what's the potential for this? And so there's a huge analysis that I would definitely implement some AI around to understand what I'm working with. Then I can know what to do.
Perfect. I love that. Look, I love it. Again, it's supposed to push different opinions, perspective, and see life or business through a new lens. So, Steve, I know you've got to drop off. Marianne, I know you have to jump off. So I will see you on the next one. But Steve, what do you think in terms of AI and overall business growth? How are you going to use it? What's your predictions? What are your insights on growing businesses with AI?
Well, look, I'm here for selfish reasons. I'm not here to educate others. I'm here to learn from others to a certain degree. So I just want to focus on some of the claims that were made. And one of the claims, because I thought this was a round table as opposed to an educational webinar. And in a round table, you're going to have debates and you're going to have your own agenda. My agenda is to make more money doing less. And if AI can help you do that, great. But I've not seen evidence that it can yet I'm talking about in terms of replacing SDRs. Now, you mentioned that you would go into the company and you would change 10 of the BDRs for 10 AI autonomous agents. Now, I would agree you could probably go down to 10 BDRs and make them more efficient, your top performers using better ways to profile data and better outreach tools and methodologies. But I don't believe you can replace 10 for 10, like for like. I've seen no evidence yet that you can have new business outreach, autonomous AI bots that go out to market and book meetings effectively. If someone wants to share that after the call, I'm all ears. Since AI's come out, I've only seen a rise of worse emails, not better. I see more of them. And I believe we're going down the wrong route. I think since we've started enabling agents with more and more tech, people have lost the core skills and competencies that actually can make them sell. So,
agreed.
A lot of people turn around and say, "Let's do more." Like my first telesales manager, 17 years old, Steve, do more calls. I was crap. So doing more crap is just a big pile of crap, right? So we were not looking at the actual issues up front, which was I needed training and I needed upskilled in the core competencies of actually doing the job. Now, if we just accelerate more bad behaviors by using AI, is that going to get better results? I don't believe so. But I don't even think we're going to get to that stage unless it's compliant or legal, which I don't think it currently is. So unless someone can tell me, if someone can come to me and say, Steve, this is compliant and legal, and I've got a proven case study to say that it gets the same results as an SDR, I'm all for it. Until that point, we're just hypothesizing stuff that doesn't exist. So
10 years, in 10 years, my brother, it will be illegal. It will be legal.
Well,
I
great.
believe it.
I'm glad. Well, 10 years time, great. I mean, I'm looking at people who can move the needle now. So if someone's got a tool that can move the needle now that I can implement in my agency to get better results faster for the clients and make customers happier, let's talk. If it's in 10 years time, let's hope we're all here.
Open up the checkbook and I'll get it done tomorrow.
All right.
I'll see you later, Steve.
All right, I'm going. I've been told to go. I'm going to go.
If you want to stay, you go. You said you got a meeting. Jerry and Martin, let's wrap up the call on your guys' thoughts. It will go on YouTube, so we'll have more of an audience and more insights on this. But Jerry and then Martin, what do you guys think?
It's really simple. I think most business value leaks in the systems and processes that stitch companies together rather than the isolated systems and processes themselves. So if I can figure out a way to deploy AI to analyze and investigate where the value leaks the most, which is those gaps and handoffs and, invoice to accounting to collections, customer success to AI, to AE, then that's probably where I can make the most immediate cost-saving system design that I possibly can. And then my whole vibe is running things as profitably as you can until people get to the edge of exhaustion with the right level of AI. you can probably get somebody to exhaustion a bit later than a bit sooner. But I don't believe that there's a specific system or process or cognitive tool yet, which is going to take ownership of all of that for me and let me sit back and just print paper off of a machine, right? So
great.
That's where I think I'd apply it. Again, it comes down to the nuance of the questions. Am I skilled enough to write the right prompts to do that? Maybe not. I'm not an expert in any of those system errors, right? So I'm still going to require a human to help me understand the system error so I can go off and investigate that. And that's still going to cost me a bit less money because I can amplify them with some tooling, but it's still going to cost me some money to get that right, isn't it? So
absolutely. And I think, Martin,
Sure.
you can lay the icing on the cake for us, mate.
Thank you. And look, again, I think everybody will have an AI assistant, okay? And yes, you will have to build them. But, you know, I just actually wrote about it, you know, very recently that, you know, for you to be able to like apply it, you want to apply it in areas where you can get the most benefits with least friction for people as well. Because remember, it's a people change as well. So, you know, when you said about the example of the company, I actually wouldn't fire everybody. You know, 35% net profit is pretty good. It's still profitable. I would equip everybody with a AI assistant, and I would like ask them, okay, can we make that company much more profitable in year 2, year 3, and so on? And then I would see who is actually able to do that and who is not able to do that, and then make decisions, right? But yeah, look, the future is everybody will have an AI assistant to do your private stuff or business, and that's the future. That's reality.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being part of this discussion. As it was the first one, we've got a few iterations, but if you have feedback, if you have ideas on how we can kind of build more on this topic and really expand it, mate, I'd love you to be part of more of these.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, and thanks. Great to meet you, everybody.
No worries. Martin and
Great
Peter,
to meet you.
stay back.
Great to meet you. Thanks for watching. Great to meet you all. Have a great evening.
See you later, Martin.
Okay, bye.
So, guys, what do you think?
I actually think it was pretty cool, but I'm a bit surprised that so many people don't see that this will come. Because
this is what I'm saying, yeah.
I am so certain that this will totally change the landscape in a few years.
It makes super sense. I think the way that sorry, it wasn't finished.
No. It's just like I'm actually surprised that people are not seeing it more clearly. Actually,
but you saw how the conversation went was really funny, really like no, not at all. To like, okay, and even Marianne, okay, you know, it's beginning to come. They began to recognize. Yep. Like Martin was like starting also there a little bit, and then bam, everybody's AI assistants. We have them, you know. I thought it was so funny to see how the conversation went, you know. And I think if I was a little bit skeptical before this little event here. I see what's going to happen is the first